This is love, death, grief, and everything in between. Now, to know a little bit about my mom, she was a nurse. My mom worked OBGYN for years. And then when my son was born, she actually arrived in Los Angeles the day he was born. And she stayed with us for 6 weeks. And she went back to Virginia and then called me and said, I'm going to retire early. I know you guys are looking for a nanny, so I don't want to worry about teddy bear cams and cameras having to be put into the nursery. So I'm going to come out and take care of him, which was the biggest blessing that we could have ever gotten. She didn't want to miss a moment with her grandson. And the relationship my son had with his grandmother was one of the most beautiful relationships I've ever seen. And I remember telling her in the hospital, you have another graduation to go to. You have to be at his college graduation. Because if it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have excelled in math. He wouldn't have gotten to do a lot of things. So she was instrumental in his upbringing. And that's what's hard to think about. Because when she was in the hospital and they had put her into the hospice care and she was dying, I just kept saying to her, you can't leave us now. You've been to every graduation, every recital, every performance this kid has had. And if anybody deserves to be there when he graduates college, it's you. The thing is, she had said so many times after her first cancer diagnosis that if she ever had to go through it again, she didn't think she could. And this hit her, like I said, 7 years after the first diagnosis. So when they told her in the hospital, she asked me what I think she should do. Because her options were go through getting a port put in and doing chemotherapy again, or hospice care. And I remember they told her at the end of a week, she had been in the hospital for about a week and a couple days, and they gave her the choice. She said she wanted a couple days to think about it, and she would let them know on Monday. And so she had asked me what I thought she should do. And frankly, that is the worst situation or question your loved one can ask you, especially when you know how they're feeling and what they've been through. But also, from a selfish standpoint, you don't want to let them go. So I told her it was her choice. I support her no matter what she wanted to do. So I told her it was gonna have to be her choice because it was her life. So she thought about it over the weekend. I think a lot of memories with me and my son, and not wanting to leave her grandson, left her with the decision that she was going to get the port and she was going to try chemotherapy again. So they scheduled having the port put in. She was going to have chemotherapy the very next day. The problem is they put in her port, and because of the damage chemotherapy 7 years prior had done to her veins, she was prone to bruising really easy. And they put in the port, and it honestly looked like someone beat my mom in the chest. And I was like, is that normal? And they said, because of her chemo, It's based on the bruising, but everything was fine. And I was like, well, hold off until it looks better and heals better to go ahead and give her chemo tomorrow. And I had gone to pick up some stuff for her, and when I came back, they had gone ahead and gave her chemo. They said she was handling it well, and the next day, which was a Friday, they said she could leave. And said, prescriptions will be ready. We'll see her next week for chemo. We got her home and we went to go pick up her prescriptions. And one was an anticoagulant, but there was no pain medication. And they had her on morphine. So this is why I'm saying you have to be an advocate and you have to stay on top of what's going on for your loved one. Because 3 key doctors that were part of my mother's care, and nobody bothered to make sure that she came home with more narcotic grade pain medication to manage the pain that she was in. So she had come home. We had made a call. We were advised to give her Tylenol. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but Tylenol doesn't even get rid of my headache. That's why whenever they're like, take Tylenol, I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to pop a few Advil. I'm not going to take just Tylenol because it's not going to work. But obviously she couldn't. So we were giving her some Tylenol. It briefly helped for a little bit, and then she was just in pain. She was also feeling bad because my mom never wanted to have anyone look after her or have to take care of her. And she had always said to me, if I get to a point in life where I can't do certain things for myself, then I don't want to be around. And what she meant were those quality of life issues, being able to go to the bathroom by yourself, being able to walk across a room by yourself, being able to eat what you want to do and go where you want to go. And she said, I don't want to be dependent on anybody. And so that night when she was in so much pain because they didn't give her proper medication, and I had been helping her with a walker to get to and from the bathroom, I think part of her just gave up. And there's all these articles and everything that you can read when you're in the moment or after the fact that you sit and just want to slap yourself because you feel like, why did I not know this sooner? Why did I not pick up on this sooner? Little things that I wish I had known. Like when someone is at that stage of life, there are signs. They aren't as mobile. They aren't as social. And back in New Year's Eve, we had to get together. And my mom was always one that would come out and chat with everybody and talk. Like everybody loved my mom. But she chose to stay in the room because she said, oh, I'm just going to stay in the room with the dogs. I don't want the dogs to get upset. I don't want because there's too much action. I don't want them to be freaking out. I'll just stay and keep the dogs calm. But that was a sign. She started withdrawing from being around people and just being motivated and trying to be active. Her diet, her eating sucked, and not eating a lot. And apparently that's a sign too. If they don't have much of an appetite and they don't want to participate. And I was buying good stuff. I was buying healthy food. I was trying to make yummy meals. I was trying for us to try different things. I was doing HelloFresh, and she wouldn't eat. She would maybe take a taste of something. That was a sign I wish I had known before she ended up in the hospital. So when she was in the hospital with hospital food, she wasn't eating. And I started getting to a point where in the evenings and at different hours, they rotate nursing staff, and sometimes you would have people you would love who were amazing, people that were great with my mom and were kind to her and compassionate. And then there were the ones that acted like they were just staring at their watch, waiting until they could clock out and go home. These are people's lives. And when my mom was sitting there one day and pushing the button to get someone to come in to help her because she had to go to the bathroom, and this was when she was still making it to the bathroom and had that dignity and ability, but they didn't want her getting out of the bed in case she fell by herself, but she would have to wait. That was when I decided I was not going to leave the hospital. And either myself or my boyfriend Phil would rotate in and make sure if she needed help, she got it. And again, that is one of those things about being the advocate for your loved one. Because it's horrible. Just sit and think about if you had to pee or go to the bathroom really bad, but you had to wait for someone to help you. And you don't know when that's going to come. It is the worst fucking feeling on the planet. This is love, death, grief, and everything in between. Hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell to stay up to date on all new videos. Until next time, lean into your grief and accept the tears whenever they decide to come. But above all else, embrace the love and the laughter and the memories that you're going to find along the way.